Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we are discussing one of the latest versions of the Audemars Piguet Code 1159 Flyback Chronograph. 41 millimeters in both white gold and rose. This is the Code 1159 Flyback Chronograph. The timepiece lives up to its name. It is a dress watch by AP standards, though large, at 41 in diameter, 12.7 millimeters thick from lug to lug, 50 millimeters with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On the wrist, it's surprisingly thin, but it's broad. At 50 millimeters lug to lug, this is somewhere between a sports watch and a dress watch in terms of wrist presence and fit, and I actually don't recommend it for wrists much smaller than 15 centimeters circumference. It is thinner than it looks. It just has a very vertical and sheer case flank. Make no mistake, it's only about as thick as a Rolex sub. It will fit underneath a sleeve. Taking a look at the strap, it's color keyed to the white gold and the silver dial, and it's large rectangular scale alligator leather, semi-gloss. There is some bolstering to give it thickness, a monotone stitch, a folded edge, and you can see they actually use gator on the top and gator on the bottom. So on the bottom, it is small round scale. On the top, it is large rectangular scale. And the idea behind having gator on top and bottom is that it makes for a more durable strap. More expensive, yes, but more durable. Now we have a buckle that's specific to this model. You can tell that because you can see that the little screws used to fix the retaining bar are hexagonal, the same as the screws used to fix the retaining bar inside the lugs. And of course, those hexagonal screws are a nod to the Royal Oak heritage of Audemars Piguet. You can see that the buckle, which is gray gold, and then coated with a platinum family material. It is a combination of satin and polish, and you can see the satin contrasting with the polish. Now, what do I mean when I say coated with a platinum family material? Well, if you look right here, you can see that this is a much brighter white than gray or natural white gold would normally have. So natural white gold isn't white like platinum. It's somewhere between yellow gold and platinum. And so what we have here is either platinum or palladium coated, and the result is that the white gold components of this watch are as white as the silver shine of the dial. They also contrast more dramatically with the rose gold of the case. And you can see there is a lot of distinction here, and there is a ton of nuance. The lugs are evacuated and hollow, which makes them open and airy and reduces the apparent mass of the watch. We have little polished micro bevels on the outer face, as well as the inner hollows of the lugs, and you can see them on the inner faces of the lugs as well. You can even see micro beveling on the edges of the otherwise satin finished chronograph pushers. The mid-case includes a rounded octagonal form, which is a nod to the bezel of the famed Royal Oak, and you can see that we have polished facets and satin facets to that mid-case. The bezel has a dramatic curvature. You can see it dips a little bit in the center at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. It's polished on its top, but from the top it is almost invisible, a silver halo. The crystal is double curved, so you can see there's a little dip from side to side. It's evident when you look at it end on, but then it also curves from end to end from 12 to 6. The watch has a dial that's unusual in a couple of regards. What at first appears to be a bezel with a tachymeter is actually a chapter ring or a reho that is raised above the dial base. It's given a metallic silver shine. The tachymeter is printed on that bezel, and then we get a brushed concentric pattern on the tachymeter and a radial sunburst pattern from the center dial. Now, while it is blindingly silver metallic, Audemars Piguet also describes this dial as lacquered, so it's got a little bit of a clear lacquer and a glossy gleam to it that a pure metallic dial would not have. We have chronograph features for the minutes and the hours that are somewhat larger than the constant seconds. Each subregister is sunken into the dial, and each subregister is a slightly different tone to contrast with the dial base, and each has a polished rose gold chaptering. We have hands and indices that have a little bit more three-dimensional prismatic value than you'll typically find on hands from mass manufacturers like AP. In particular, you can see the hands across their top are rounded a little bit like a barrel profile, and that sort of three-dimensional hand profile is something you expect from lower volume independents. we have applied rose gold indices, rose gold and polished, Arabic numeral 12, rose gold hands, and then of course the watch includes a lot of thoughtful details that keep revealing themselves progressively. So you can see the font used for the 6 on the sub-registers is the same font used for the 6 on the date wheel, is the same font used for the 6 on the tachometer. And this kind of design continuity is not universal in the watch industry. The timepiece does feature a hacking seconds or stop seconds function. It also features a quick set for the date, so you can rapidly cycle the date should you wish. By the way, how much do you love that 8 right there? Now, taking a quick look at the chronograph's pièce de résistance, it is the flyback capability, so you can reset and restart to time 2 events that occur in rapid succession. Although it is a sporty dress watch, it's still just 30 meters water resistant, so don't take it swimming. You can see AP's maker's mark on the case. AP has the ability to make both movements and cases in-house. The movement is caliber 4401, which debuted in 2020 on the Code 1159 Chrono. It's an automatic winder with ceramic bearings for high efficiency and reduced maintenance requirements. It's got a 70-hour power reserve. You can see it functions by means of a black polished column wheel, so the chronograph pusher feel is outstanding. And you can also see that because of the vertical clutch, the chronograph engages without any jump to the seconds hand. There's no play in a vertical clutch. Further, due to the vertical clutch, you can leave the chrono running full time with no additional hazard to the watch. It's a 40 joule movement. It's a higher beat rate than the previous chronograph caliber, which was the Flyback Piguet 1185 used by Audemars Piguet in the Royal Oak Chronos. That had a 3 Hz beat rate. This is a 4 Hz or 8 beat per second rate. Also here we have a sports watch architecture with a full balance bridge and a free sprung index for shock tolerance. And it should be mentioned that previously AP used 2 different types of chronograph. One, commonly featured in the offshores, was an AP 3126 base with a Dubois de Praz 3840 vertical clutch chrono module on top. That was efficient, and they could argue that it was partly manufacture, but it was also small in diameter and relatively thick. What we have here, instead of that movement's relatively compact 26 millimeters, is a movement that is 32 millimeters in diameter and better fills the case back. And again, whereas that hybrid movement in the past, the compound movement, had a 50-hour power reserve, this is 70. And the Flyback Piguet 1185 that was used in older AP dress watches and the Royal Oak Chrono, that had only a 40-hour power reserve, so 70 is a big step up here. The combination of mechanical and manual finishing on the watch is attractive and price point appropriate. Then if you look underneath my thumb, you can actually see that the vertical clutch is visible. You can see it moving incrementally, starting and stopping. Visible vertical clutches are incredibly rare in this industry, and it's actually kind of cool to see that AP opted to make that visible. The rotor itself is actually quite interesting, as it is obviously hand finished to achieve this differential polish and satination, but then you can also see the beveling is done by hand, which is interesting because it's not done by hand on the movement itself, right down to the sharp interior angles where 2 bevels meet inside the rotor. So the rotor is quite attractive, and it's actually done to a slightly higher standard of finish than the movement itself. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.